Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. You're watching the 9 at Night. I'm Stephania Jimenez. We certainly hope that you're nice and settled and don't have to travel far, because weather is certainly going to be top of mind for the 55 million Americans who are expected to travel for Thanksgiving. And a lot of them traveled today on one of the busiest travel days of the year. So this right here was the scene at San Antonio International Airport this afternoon. Yes, it was busy, but it was also manageable. Security wait times were no more than 45 minutes at the time, but that just wasn't the case elsewhere.
I'm coming in from Columbus, Ohio. First I was on United, and then I was on American Airlines. I got a delay, and it was a whole mess. I had to call like 12 people. It was a disaster, but I'm here now. I'm really excited.
The Huntsville airport's pretty small, so it wasn't too bad, wasn't too congested, but I connected to Dallas, so that was a lot more, congested and everything. There's a lot more people.
Yeah, the Transportation Security Administration expected to screen as many as 2.5 million people today across the country, which is near pre-pandemic levels. Airport traffic is expected to pick back up again on Sunday. So TSA is telling people to do three things: pack smart, be prepared for the crowds, and also be patient. Good advice for everyone. Now, back here at home, this would be one of the busiest nights of the year for businesses along the St. Mary's Strip. Last night on the Nightbeat, we showed you the construction that's affecting business there. And now the city says it's stepping in to help. Today, City Councilman Mario Bravo shared a list of improvements that his office said would be made by the end of the day. And those include eliminating potential trip hazards, adding orange safety fencing to mark construction areas, pumping out excess water, and also running street sweepers after work is done for the day. But one business owner says that is not enough. Aaron Peña, the owner of Squeeze Box, shared a statement tonight calling the promised changes, quote, laughable and convenient timing, given the recent pressure that businesses have put on Bravo and the city. Peña says that they want relief and funding to expedite construction, which, by the way, is scheduled to wrap up next year. Now, we took Peña's comments to Councilman Bravo this afternoon. You're going to hear his reaction and more from customers along the Strip tonight on the Nightbeat. So now let's tell you what the situation is like outside. Yeah, still damp, not exactly a picture-perfect night, but what can you expect for Thanksgiving? Meteorologist Adam Caskey has a look at your forecast.
A broad storm system is coming together, and it's going to cause varying conditions from Thanksgiving all the way through Sunday. So here's the bottom line for you. This is what you should plan for. Thanksgiving, damp through at least the noon hour. We're talking fog, drizzle, reduced visibility, wet roads through at least noon with some showers mixed in, but not adding up to a whole lot. By Friday, old-fashioned rainy day. Off and on rain, sometimes light, sometimes moderate, sometimes even heavy, up to 2 inches in spots by Friday night. This weekend, sunny, windy, and warmer. Windy, especially on Saturday. Sunday, I think, the best day to get outside and hang up the Christmas lights and decorations. As for temperatures, 70 for the high temperature on Thanksgiving, down to 57 Friday. We'll be in the mid-60s Saturday with sunshine, but still pretty gusty. Sunday, however, sunny, mid-70s, less wind, low humidity, a beautiful day.
He's right. The weekend does look good. Arson investigators arrested a woman who they say set fire to a memorial dedicated to 53 migrants who died inside of a sweltering tractor trailer on the southwest side over the summer. You remember that. Firefighters were called out early yesterday morning around 6 a.m. to put out what they said was an unauthorized burn in the 9600 block of Quintana Road. Turned out to be a fire at a memorial site, which you're about to see. And that woman is 44-year-old Estela Banda. Investigators say that she's the person responsible. They say that she later admitted to setting part of that memorial on fire. So now she's been charged with arson. We know that at least 8 crosses were damaged, but the people have already rallied together to get them back up again.
The minute that they knew how many crosses had been damaged, they went to Home Depot. They bought the wood. They wanted to do this as a personal contribution to their fellow humans who had passed away here.
And that was Councilwoman Rocha Garcia. She says that police are going to increase patrols in that area. Leaders are also trying to set a permanent memorial at that very location. Some families have a lot to be grateful for this Thanksgiving, and that includes the family of a teenager who was shot while he was sitting in his car by a San Antonio police officer who was fired and arrested shortly after. This picture shows Eric Cantu standing right by his front door, but you can see he still has bandages on his neck and chest. His family says that he still has a long road to recovery. If you remember, he was shot in his stomach, liver, diaphragm, lungs, and arms, and spent 7 weeks in the hospital. Now, his family released a statement in part saying, quote, "It means the world to us that we can spend Thanksgiving as a family outside of the hospital walls where we have lived since Eric was horribly injured. We are thankful for many blessings this week," end quote. Now, the former San Antonio police officer who was charged with shooting Cantu was set for a preliminary hearing today, but since the judge isn't going to be holding court this Thanksgiving week, that hearing for former officer James Brennan is going to be rescheduled. You know, there's a reason that there were so many DPS troopers this afternoon in southeast San Antonio. Troopers pulled over a maroon pickup, that one right there, connected to a shooting in Pharr, Texas, which is in the valley. DPS says that a trooper saw the truck in Atascosa County and eventually pulled it over farther up I-37 near Brawning Lake Park in San Antonio. DPS confirms that they recovered a handgun from the truck and detained the 3 people who were inside. They arrested one in connection to the shooting on a charge of disorderly conduct and say they're going to interview the other 2. And according to a news release from Pharr, the truck and another vehicle met this morning at a convenience store in Pharr shortly before shots were fired. No injuries were reported at the scene in Pharr. Now, speaking of DPS, the agency is asking for more than $1 billion for a state-of-the-art active shooter training facility, and that comes amid the failed response at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. And that's according to our media partners at the Texas Tribune. Now, if this project is approved, you, the taxpayer, would need to pay nearly $500 million as a down payment by next year. Last month, DPS Director Steve McCraw was quoted as saying, "You play like you practice, you need a real environment," end quote. 7 of his troopers were under investigation by the department's inspector general for their roles in the response to Robb Elementary. Some of the victims' families have called on McCraw himself to resign, but he's refused. A new commissioner for Northern Bexar County was sworn in this morning, and though he has a little more than half a term left, and that is because Republican Grant Moody was elected to serve the remainder of Trish DeBerry's term as Precinct 3 commissioner. DeBerry was elected in 2020, but she stepped down after less than a year in office so that she could run for county judge. Maria Lynn Barnard served in her place as a temporary appointment, but now it's that guy's turn.
I don't know if it changes things. Obviously, it's a shorter window. Just means we got to get to work and get started as quickly as we can, get our feet underneath us, learn about some of these problems, the details, and try to solve them as quickly as we can.
Now, the former Marine F-18 pilot and Valero Energy executive says that he's planning to run for a full term in 2024. Back to Thanksgiving now. The Wheels on Wheels team is helping people enjoy a warm Thanksgiving meal. In fact, they started cooking in the kitchen early this morning. Thousands of dinners are being delivered to seniors and others in need, and that means more than just the turkey and all the trimmings, you know. Meals on Wheels wants to make sure that their customers know that they care.
This means everything because it's the holidays. It's the beginning of the holiday season, and people are realizing, okay, you know, I'm not going to be alone.
Yeah, and they delivered 4,500 meals today, and they're not done because tomorrow they're going to deliver another 2,000. And it doesn't end there. You know, before we go, tomorrow is the 43rd annual Raul Jimenez Thanksgiving Dinner. It's back in person for the first time in 2 years. It's going to be held at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. It's a great event that offers a free hot meal for seniors and people experiencing homelessness or food insecurity. Now, we here at KSAT hope that all of you have a warm Thanksgiving surrounded by lots of love. The 9 at Night returns tomorrow. Have a beautiful night, and don't forget to stay warm.